Hello, 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 and welcome to another edition of the College Football Mafia Network Big Freakin' Friday Show. I'm your host, Nathan Balmer Brown. With me are my co-hosts and true partners in this venture we call YouTube. That would be the Wild Ute and Moen. How we doing tonight, guys?
Hey.
I'm doing fine. I'm
You
hanging
should
in
be
there.
effusive, Moen. You should be
And
like glorifying, and you should be.
I'm not going to grave dance on the Ducks.
Why?
I realize it's a small group of their fan base that bring all that hatred onto that program, but I will say Ohio State, I got the white Ohio State hat on. Ohio State are the good guys this bowl season.
Isn't that remarkable?
We are the good guys.
Isn't that remarkable? I don't even before we get on to anything else, let's talk about two brands that have been vilified for 100 years or more because everybody's very, very jealous of Ohio State and Notre Dame. They're the ones that people have been cheering for. I don't have this on my list of stuff to talk about tonight, but I'm glad you said that, Moan, because it is absolutely true. I came into this playoff wanting Notre Dame to smoke every team they played until the championship, and I wanted Ohio State to just blow up Oregon for different reasons. But tell me what you guys think about that.
I think it's the SEC being such turds recently that just makes us despise the SEC so much. And the fact that they're just squawking. They're so great. And they totally get punked in multiple games. They're almost gone in this playoff. Arizona State got robbed, as we all know. We've discussed before and stuff. So it's no surprise that Notre Dame's also like the underdog. I mean, with the SEC getting all the glory, with them wanting to pull away and start their own super conference and everything, with Sankey's comments over the summer, they become the villain and the total jerk, of college football. And it makes it so the prior schools that you didn't root for, the Notre Dames and Ohio States, are all of a sudden rootable now, whereas in the past they weren't. I think that's the explanation.
Moen, what do you think?
Listen, you've got to fight the villains to become the hero, and Ohio State defeated an SEC team. Didn't only defeat them, absolutely took them to the woodshed.
Yes.
And that was when 20+ thousand of their fans showed up in Columbus. The Ducks had been quacking since the end of the season. This was their year. I need to find it. I've got a really great post that somebody made on the Oregon Ducks subreddit of how to talk to Ohio State fans after the Ducks beat them down.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So, I mean, listen, the Ducks are villains. Ohio State beat them. Guess who we play next? Tennessee or Texas. Who's a bigger villain left than Texas?
Right,
They basically stole a game from Arizona. Along with the officials, they stole a game from Arizona State.
Well, 4th and 13 with a zero cover blitz did it too.
That didn't help.
Let's be honest. That's a coaching decision that I asked Kenny Dillingham today. Actually, I tweeted directly at him like, I take you're taking ownership for your decision, but really cover zero? I don't know. That seemed insane to me. They had yardage to give. Give up the first down, right? Don't give up a touchdown.
Yeah, it was a bad call, but listen, it was nowhere near the call of not calling targeting.
Right. The game should never got to overtime, guys.
That's true.
There's no business of being in overtime.
Texas,
so like that's great. That Texas is Ohio State. They used to be the villain. They're not the villain anymore.
They really did.
They're like the people's champ right now, Ohio State.
Well, Notre Dame is, I think. I think Notre Dame,
Ohio State, Penn State, and Texas. Yeah. Wow, what big brands we have in the Final Four. That is nuts.
And it's the way we wanted it, right? Everybody's bemoaning the fact that Oregon had to play a real game in the first round, their first round, and that they should have had a free pass to the championship game. It's ridiculous. The argument is completely stupid on its face. And the fact that we're now fighting these and we're seeing them come out of the woodwork now. I was just watching PTI. Michael Wilbon was going on there basically talking about we don't need 12. We don't need any more. We just need 8. Let's shrink the field. Let's restrict so that you don't even have a chance to lose a game because you're not playing anybody that is really anything. I would argue that BYU could have won a road game, and I think I have data that can back that up. At the same time, you have Lane Kiffin. Ole Miss has the balls to stand at the podium. Has the balls. In fact, you know what? I'm going to find that video. You guys keep talking. I wasn't going to play that, but let me bring up the video. You guys cover me for a second here.
Lane Kiffin is the biggest clown in college football. Like, he and Feinbaum right now, and maybe Herb Street too. I mean, these guys, they just talk and talk and talk, and it all blows up when you start losing football games. You squawk about 3 teams in the playoff, and you're just getting your freaking butt handed to you. I'll tell you what, Texas better beat Ohio State, or the freaking narrative's going to go out of control. I'm going to blast the SEC so hard if they lose to Ohio State, and so will everybody else out there in college football land, and they deserve to be blasted because their performance stinks, guys. They aren't that good. This SEC conference right now is not as dominant as it was 3 years ago.
And there's reasons why. We'll talk about that. Let me play the video. In case you've been under a rock and you've missed what happens in last night's game, I think the final score was 52-20 or something like that. They beat a Duke team that, yes, was 9-3, was playing with their quarterback, was a backup quarterback, hadn't played it down almost all season. They had a bunch of opt-outs, Duke did, and they pummeled them like they should have, right? All right, let me play this video. And then we'll talk about it. I've been waiting to do this, and here we go.
It's why it's just different. It's just totally different. And these comparisons of other conferences and ACC and Big 12, I mean, it's just like you might as well be in different leagues, not conferences, different leagues. You know, like here's the NFL, here's the SEC, here's those few Big 10 teams, and then here's everybody else. So you're going to see it in the draft. You know, it'll be different. Like it always is with the SEC, the amount of kids drafted out of here and there.
Because draft picks win championships, right? We all know that.
It's really a bad system. Here you go. You got me going. It's just a bad system. It's a bad system, and you got people in there in place of it. And I don't know. They gave me the list of the coaches today. You know, I mean, those coaches ever been down here in the deep South into these stadiums and played in these games that are on this?
You went to Arkansas,
how do they even know? How do they even know what it's like to have to go win in these stadiums, in these places, and on the road of teams that they say, well, these teams are 500 teams, and we have, you know, the week where the 3 favorites all lose on, you know, the senior day and night.
What does that matter?
3 of the hardest stadiums in America.
Who cares when they lost?
Much different than where these other conferences go and play.
The senior days, like you don't show up to play on Sunday,
you know,
or on Saturday night.
6-6 teams that they got to go play, or 5-5 teams at the time. Just totally different, and you got to get up for it every week.
Ooh, a lot easier when you that's so tough. Got to get up for the game every week. All right.
This guy's smelling his own farts so bad. Seriously, just sniffing it in.
Let me post the link to this so that everybody else can enjoy what is the glory of Lane Kiffin. You know, because we all know he's the smartest guy in the room, right? The guy that had Ole Miss team that lost to whom, Owen?
Kentucky, Florida, both unranked teams. Kentucky had I believe one conference win in the SEC. It was Lane Kiffin's Ole Miss. That game was played at Oxford, Mississippi. You know, he peddles this bullshit that teams are afraid to go down south. Ohio State has Texas, Georgia, and Alabama scheduled for home and aways in the next
BYU
decade.
has continued to go down south. In fact, we've beaten Ole Miss at home.
Utah's got Arkansas and LSU on the docket in the future.
Yeah.
Too, so no one's afraid of that. Those guys have 8 conference games. They played total powder puffs in 2 of those conference
games. And the 9th game is against usually FCS team, right? Like Mercer, you know, the sacrificial lamb.
Games.
Yeah, it's absolutely ridiculous. And the idea that, by the way, I posted the link. If you're new to the channel, you don't know who we are, I just posted the link, and we always share the links to the stuff we other people's stuff. I didn't record Lane Kiffin and put it out there, so I encourage you to go to that link and be a part and leave a comment, get involved, and kind of let Lane know how ludicrous that went. Anyway, not to dwell on this anymore, but all first round bye teams lost. All first round bye, not 1, not 2, not 3, all 4. which we kind of previewed. We talked about it going into the playoff. Is the bye week going to be that important, right? What have we learned about the bye weeks?
A bye week is important. 3 consecutive bye weeks is killer. It's seriously, like, I mean, when you're off for almost a month, you lose all juice and momentum and stuff, and that is absolutely killer. Teams are going to get absolutely killed in the playoff, as we just saw. We talked about it last week. It's going to continue that way. You cannot be off for 3 weeks and going into a game versus a team that played 10 days before. It's a huge disadvantage, guys. I think that's the moral of the story here.
Yeah, I mean, what can we really say at the end of this? Lane Kiffin, a man who coached a team with 3 losses, thinks he deserves to be in. The buys, as far as the buys, I think it's too small a sample size to make a determination yet. I think part of that is the teams that got the buys. Boise State was just overmatched talent-wise. I don't think they ever had a shot. Georgia's going to continue to rely on the excuse that they had a young true freshman quarterback.
What about Oregon? What's their excuse?
Oregon doesn't have an excuse. That's what I was getting to.
They didn't have to go around time zones. They didn't have to fly south by an hour.
Oregon and Texas are the 2 that did not have an excuse.
Yeah.
Just no excuse. I don't even agree with the Georgia starting quarterback, because I'm sure that kid's a 4-star or a 5-star.
I imagine he is.
So I even have a problem with that excuse, but some of that's just the seeding, which I guess if you read the Twitterverse, the SEC is up in arms and they want to redo the seeding now. Because
so we'll talk about that next.
Yeah.
Really quick, I want to invite everybody. Let's just reset and tell everybody who we are and what we do. Welcome to the College Football Mafia Network. We have this show every Friday night. If you're new to the channel, this is what you do. We get you involved in all of college football. Make sure you take some time to subscribe, follow us on Twitter, and leave us comments and questions. We answer that stuff. We're not like some of these other guys that don't give time of day to people who watch their shows or listen to their product on Twitter. We get it. We will interact with you. Every DM almost I will react to, unless it's just asinine. That's what we invite everybody to do. So welcome to the party. We do this every Friday night. And I know there's a game going on a little bit. Hopefully we don't lose a lot of people to go watch. Who's playing, Moen?
It's 7:30. The kickoff will probably be like 7:45. It's the Duke's Mayo Bowl. Mayonnaise. Minnesota versus Virginia Tech.
And I saw the list. Our great friend Greg Flugar posted a list of outs for Minnesota, and the list was like 20 long. The team they're playing against had 1, I think. So we'll have to see. I'm a fan of Minnesota's team this year, so hopefully they show up. I think if they do, they could finish they would have 9 or 10 wins, right?
I don't know, but Greg seems really fired up about Minnesota.
I think it's 10 wins if they win this game. Can you fact check that?
I'll check that.
I will. Well, they should have won. Minnesota should have won that North Carolina game.
They should have beat North Carolina. Yeah.
They should have won the Michigan game. A bad call from Big Ten officials cost them the game. So they're
7-5 right now.
They're 7-5.
Minnesota is.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm thinking of something else. Then I apologize. All right. Well, 8-5 is still a good season in the Big Ten for Minnesota. So it's not something to shirk at. Really quick, let's do some shout outs for the people who are here early. Nathan Campbell checking in first, saying hi. Good to see you, Nathan. Gideotham. That's creative. Gideotham, welcome to the channel. Make sure you subscribe. It's great to have you here. Hey, everyone. Wishing you all abundantly blessed 2025. That's very well put. Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
We wish that back to you. Happy New Year to you and yours as well. Rock and Rant, contributor extraordinaire. One of the hosts of the Moen After Dark show on Sunday nights. If there's not a lot of SEC dunking in this episode, I resign. Well, have we done our job at least at the beginning? Because we're not done yet, Rock. I promise you, we are not done. I'm just getting started. I am so jazzed up about some of the crap that's come out in the last few days. Keep chopping, says OH.
I-O.
Was that, did you guys plan that? Okay.
No.
Bob Swinger checking in for Penn State. Got a big game coming up next week. Good evening and Happy New Year to everyone. To you too, Bob. Thank you. And thank you for being a member and a continuing member for the Mafia family. We really appreciate it. Keep chopping, checking in from Rutgers. We are.
Penn
We
State.
are. Oh,
Penn State.
Okay. See, these are all cheers. I didn't realize you guys were coordinating. You're like a little cheer group.
If you ever want to find a Buckeye in a crowd, just yell OH.
Okay. All right. Let's see here. Nathan Campbell in the Yukon stuff is making I was talking about the other night was old. Do you know what he's talking about? Yukon.
He mentioned something about UConn the other night, but I don't recall off the top of my head, Nathan. what you
Okay,
brought
and
up.
I can't recall either. Remind us, Nathan. Let us know what you were talking. Oh, I vaguely recall, but I can't remember the details because he posted twice about it to clear it up. Repost it, Nathan, and I'll mention it again. Devil Frog, the actual original Mafia gangster with me. Leave the gun, take the cannoli. I love it. I love it. Mafia in the house. Of course, we're talking about the Godfather. Devil Frog, a longtime subscriber and a member of the Mafia family. Fart smell funny. Leave the cannoli, take the gabagool. Yeah, okay. Did ASU win their challenge? Yeah, I don't think anybody cares. Antoine Coach checking in for ASU. ASU is on the rise. Go Devils.
No
If
doubt.
you don't rise after this season, I don't know when you're ever going to do it, Antoine.
Yeah, you are there.
Yeah, it's kind of like the first run that Utah made to the Rose Bowl. If you can't build on greatness, I don't know when you're ever going to be able to do it. So, but we're glad to have you here. Illini Ted checking in for the Big Ten. So is the SEC just milking Texas? What do you think about that, Ute?
Yeah, that's the sound of milking right now, and the SEC milking Texas for sure, 100%. That Georgia game was crazy, guys, because Georgia kind of got pounded. Like, I'll be honest, I was watching that game, and they got out physical by Notre Dame. When's the last time Georgia got out physical? We're in a different world where the SEC isn't even the dominant conference anymore. It's the Big Ten conference, and the SEC is losing traction to the Big 12.
And they're panicking. I will share some of the panic that's coming up. I've got it marked.
They are.
Meme. Good name. I like that. Make sure you subscribe, Meme, if you're new to the channel. If not, thank you for being here, and we appreciate you coming back. OSU versus PSU for the Natty. Now that would break. I don't want that.
I absolutely want that.
OSU and Notre Dame is
No.
what I'm cheering for.
No.
Yes.
Nobody wants Notre Dame in a championship game. You all know how that turns out.
I do.
You know what? We love Notre Dame nowadays. Since they came up with that Project Rudy, we love Notre Dame, Moan.
Standing up for the little guy, Notre Dame.
Yeah, Notre Dame
we all
is.
know.
They do stand up for the little guy.
Yeah, I don't.
They just take their money on the side.
I don't think so. All right, Sergeant Pickles checking in. Contributor extraordinaire has his own show on the Big Ten Mafia show. That programming might be changing in the future, but $4.99, $5 super chat. 16 team, top 5 champs, 8 seed or better. Top 4 runners up also get in. Home site round 1 and 2 with reseeding. Championship always Rose Bowl January 1st. I don't know how you get to January 1st with 4 rounds of playoff games, but certainly I don't mind the rest of it. A lot of that you cribbed from me, I think, or maybe I stole from you. I'm not sure, Pickles. But yeah, what do you guys want to say about this list, which is sort of becoming uniform in the Mafia network?
Yep. No buys. Buys. 16
Absolutely.
teams, more games. Give me more content. You want it. I want it. Yeah, top 5 seeds get in and everything else. Maybe you got to have a mini playoff in each conference to get the other seedings. I'm with you, Pickles. First 2 rounds at home games. No one wants to see empty seats at the Fiesta Bowl or wherever, right? So put them in the arenas. Yeah, make the Rose Bowl the ultimate championship game every single year, 100%.
Now the date, I think, is I don't know how you get it done by then, because there's a reason why the fall camp is the dates it is because you have to have the school involved there too, at least nominally. All right, Moen, what do you think?
I want to see how the 12 team plays out. Again, first year, I want to get more data on it. it's not a good idea to take all your data from just this one playoff run. So let's give it another year and see how it works out, and then we'll have at least a larger pool of data to draw conclusions from.
So let's
What
talk about that.
conclusions? Yeah. What conclusions are we trying to draw, I guess?
Yeah,
Like,
I'm trying to
it's-
see
Well-
what you're looking for.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on how it works out. I mean, this year, yes, everybody who had a bye lost.
But we kind of said that was going to happen. What do you
Well,
need more data to
We
show
don't know
that?
we don't know for sure that's going to happen next year, Nate. This could be an outlier. You can't
okay.
can't just go off of 4 games and say because these 4 games happen, if we move forward with the next 6 years, all 24 games that happen.
You know how many number 1 seeds in the NFL have lost because they had that extra week, or the 1 and 2 seed when there was 2 of them? Playing football is an advantage.
I don't disagree with you, but I think you're going to find matchups that I think a lot of this had to do with matchups this year, the way it came out. Ohio State's a number 8 seed. Come on, who here thinks Ohio State is the 8th best team in that playoff?
Nobody, but that's where Ohio State would have landed, though.
Yeah.
I mean, after the loss and
But,
stuff,
I mean,
Ohio State
that-
didn't make the Big Ten championship.
Yeah, I
like,
mean,
it
you
would have fell
kind of
that
did
way
that to
anyway.
yourself, right?
Yeah, but I mean that's the way it is. So I mean, I think you have to wait and see more
Okay.
before we can just jump to 16.
Okay. All right. Fair.
I
Fair
guess, like, I mean, maybe like we're kind of spinning our own thought process here, like Nate, because I don't want to see the buys. So obviously, like eliminating the buys and adding 16s, like makes a lot of sense, right? And everything.
But
Plus,
I think you have to have the buys to give them something to play the conference championship.
But why
I
have
think you
conference
eliminate
championship
conference
games? Why don't you
championship
just
games,
go to
and then you start
semifinals?
playoffs sooner.
But you
Right.
can't. They're contractually obligated to fulfill those duties in their contracts with ESPN.
Well, contracts can be renegotiated. The change
well-
in the CFP drives.
Right. But the
what's
Big Ten doesn't
broadcast.
have any deal with ESPN, who controls the college football playoffs. Why are they going to say, okay, we'll cut off 50, 60 million a year from our contract to satisfy?
But you'll have 2 games. You won't just have 1. You'll have 2 you can lean into.
No, you've got to have a conference championship game. It's in the contract.
Yeah,
Just
I
have a
don't.
round robin to figure
Yeah,
out
I don't know
conference
why that
champion.
has to be the
I
barrier.
think conference champions are kind of arcane. I mean, I think that
I mean,
they're
it's
real. Like,
possible.
nobody really cares who won the conference.
How about
People
this?
care
The
about national
conference.
championships.
So play your conference championship games, and those get the first 4 seeds. You're playing at home. You have the advantage of guaranteed home game that puts you on footing for the march
Okay,
to the
but that's
championship.
if you go to 16 teams.
Right.
So I mean,
Yeah.
again, but right now we're stuck with 12 teams.
Unless they can vote on it in the offseason and change that.
But
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to. I don't think they're going to vote on.
Yeah,
anything
1 year is
until-
probably too close. I agree.
Yeah,
We're
I
late
think
into
the
that.
look-in.
But
The look-in is in
it's
2027.
26. No, it's 26.
26.
Yeah.
Okay,
And I
so
was just going
look-in's
to
in-
mention that.
The look-in's in 26.
Right.
I think you're going to have to wait until then to see if you see any significant change. But I would be shocked if they go to 16 teams
This year.
any year.
Okay, I think there's too much money. And there was too much success in the home games. I think they're going to want more games, more broadcast dollars. Why limit yourself? Just for what reason to limit
because
yourself?
the SEC and Big Ten, they're not making any extra money off of that.
They might not make money off of the extra going from 12 to 16, but they certainly will make more money in broadcast dollars when their teams are playing in the playoffs.
No, because it's going to be the same amount of money per game. It's already written in the ESPN contract.
Well, again, if you change the contract to modify however many teams go, that would naturally,
Okay,
that would
but
be
you're-
changed.
But I don't believe you're going to have that consideration from ESPN. Why would they say we've already got a set game rate of this is how much you get per game? We're going to change that now and
Well,
give
next
you guys
year-
more money for 4 more games.
Yeah, so next year, let's talk about that calendar since we jumped on into it. We'll interrupt doing shout outs, so I apologize about that. But the calendar is in this offseason, if there's any changes they want to make, it has to be unanimous. All 11 of the border, that's all 10 conferences with Notre Dame, would have to vote in unison to change it, going to 14 teams, going to 16 teams. Even changing the details in the contract would have to
Yes.
take unified support. The next year, This time next year, we will be talking about a completely different system where they're going to be that it's all going to be wide open. The Pac-12 is no longer going to be an autonomous qualifier, and they're going to completely, possibly change everything. They could change the whole thing. They could go back to one game.
You're right. They could block Notre Dame from getting access to the playoff.
Okay, how much of this is about your
2020
bias against
no,
Notre
but
Dame?
2026, the SEC and the Big Ten will have the power. They won't need unanimous consent.
I'm not denying that.
So I think that you're going to see, yes, you're going to see changes in 2026. I just don't think it's going to be the changes you necessarily want. I think you're probably going to see changes that are geared more towards providing larger amounts of access for the Big Ten and SEC.
All right. I just, there's too much money involved. I don't think it's necessarily about guaranteeing the Big Ten and the SEC win the championship. I don't think it's more about getting the most teams in.
Well, I think for ESPN's point of view, they want the most drawing teams in.
Tell me right now, the SEC right this second, would they vote for 16?
No.
Yes, they would.
No,
Because they would have gotten Ole Miss. They would have gotten South Carolina. Yes, they would.
What's the downside for at the SEC?
They have three more teams from the SEC were the first ones out conversation.
They only got 3 teams in. They won 5 teams.
They got 3 teams in. They got a first round bye. I mean,
what is the bye?
This time the Big Ten got 4 teams in. Next year the SEC might get 4 teams in. There's no reason for them to expand the playoffs. It's not just more opportunities. It's more opportunities to get embarrassed. I mean, the SEC has been embarrassed in those playoffs.
You think that they're gonna make decisions based on fear?
No, I think they're gonna make decisions based on money.
And money is more games, more teams in the playoffs.
Money is not losing your conference championship game.
If you get rid of buys, you don't have to worry about that.
You still got a conference championship game. You have to fulfill that.
You're assuming that stays that way.
It'll stay that way. Okay, we'll make a bet. Nate owes me a Coke in 2026.
Okay, all right, we'll do that. That sounds good. Harry Austin checking in. Good to see you, Harry. $5 super chat. When it goes to 16 team is when Fox, ESPN partner together. Boy, I don't know. Yikes.
They can't.
Which would benefit both big name networks. Go ahead, Moan.
That would have to be 2031. ESPN has total control over the contract till 2031, regardless if they expand in 2026.
Very good. All right. Thanks for clearing that up for everybody. Thanks, Harry, for the super chat. Mo, let's get a couple sounders for the super chat.
Yeah, hold on a second. I want to pull up there was one in here from Harry where he popped his 4-month membership.
Oh, wow, Harry.
Happy New Year's, Mafia Nation. Good to see you. Let's let them cook.
Let's do it.
Let him cook.
Yes.
Let him cook now. Let him cook. I said let him cook.
I love it.
I am the milkman. My milk is delicious.
Moan.
I love it. I love it. Thank you, Harry, for your continued membership. We appreciate it.
Moan, you made a comment that was pretty striking. You said that the SEC might be, it's not advantageous for them to add games because they might lose. Like the fear of adding more games to lose. Is the SEC really down this bad? There's like, oh gosh, we can't add any more games.
I don't
think
think so.
More and more. I mean, if that's the case, they're screwed. If they're not willing to compete because like they're scared to lose games because we're going to roll out a crap Tennessee team in the playoff, it gets worse than I thought.
Listen, if the refs did the right thing in that game with Arizona State, there'd be no SEC teams left in this playoff.
My point is, you don't even get there if you get rid of the bye. Everybody's playing the same games, and now all of a sudden you have the first 8 or all the higher seeds. There's no guaranteed seeding, so your best teams are going to normally on a regular season be Big Ten and SEC teams. You go to 16, the SEC would have gone from 3 to 6 teams. I don't know why he wouldn't want to do that.
Are you sure they would go to
4 autos?
Listen, where would BYU fall in that?
They weren't. They were 17.
Where would Miami fall in that?
Miami was 13. They would have been them and 3 SEC teams. It would have been an SEC power block.
Why
6 teams going.
Why would the Big 12 and the ACC before that?
Well, 2 automatics.
Yeah, in my opinion, it has to come with the automatic bids. It'd have to
Then you're
go
gonna have
4-4-2-2 or
You're going to have to
4-4-3-3.
unevenly give the Big Ten and SEC more bids.
They do.
Well,
They
you
get
go
4.
4-4-2-2.
That's double.
Yeah.
Well, I think you're probably going to have to go above 4 if you're going to 6.
And again, I
What?
think, yeah, I don't know.
Mm.
We'll see. Anything is possible, right? We don't know this
We-
year. We don't know next year.
We say it all the time. The golden rule: he who has the gold makes the rules.
Right. You do say that a lot. It's true. All right. Let's get some more shout outs. Sorry, we got in the middle of that,
One's
guys.
killing me tonight.
This
killing me.
This is honestly why
Oh,
people
you forgot-
come to
you
the
forgot to
show.
read
They
that
love
super-
us arguing.
You forgot to read this super chat, Nate.
I thought I did.
Nope.
Oh, I'm sorry. Ryan Willie, good to see you. $5 super chat in the house. Good to see you, Ryan. Thank you so much. Moen, you want to give him a that's the badger.
Evil badger laugh.
Be careful what you wish for. Private equity is like signing a deal with the devil. I've despised Notre Dame since they had their own network. Well, everybody should despise Notre Dame. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying.
Yeah, right.
I'm just saying. At the end of the day, Notre Dame showing up, and until somebody takes their access away, it's never going to change. They're never going to join a conference, and they're always going to be the one-off. They'll always get this special spot, unless they lose. Well, I guess 2 losses this year might have been tenuous, but in most years, Notre Dame's going to get that guaranteed spot. So
the idea of also for Ryan's super chat here, to be careful what you wish for. PE, private equity, is like signing a deal with the devil. I just think about, it's like, what relationship with the PE firm are you getting into, right? I mean, you can make the same claim that signing a grant of rights with the conference is like signing a deal with the devil. That's how Florida State feels.
right.
That's how a lot feel, right? And so really it just depends on who your partner is and how good a partner they are. You go with a private equity firm that's going to boost your brand a ton, I think 10 times what you were. That's a great deal for you. But if you go with some crap private equity deal and it burns up, it could be a horrible deal like that. We just don't know enough information yet, but it's worth the risk for a lot of schools to take that private equity on, especially if you're not in like the Super 2.
Hey,
Like Big 12 isn't.
I just thought about Moen. Is there any way that we can create a real-time clock that is the countdown timer for the ACC ESPN deal? Is that possible?
We could, but we might have to extend it because
Oh, okay.
again, the ACC can grant ESPN another extension. So,
we'll see.
but I think
see.
ESPN's going to sign the deal. That's just what I think. I think they are going to extend.
Stephen Vitt checking in. Ohio Bobcats in the house. How's everyone doing? Stand up and cheer.
Right.
Hey.
Winner of
good to
the
have you
MAC.
here, Stephen. The MAC.
The MAC.
Losing. Well, we'll get to that.
We'll
in a minute.
talk about it.
We'll talk about that. Clint Moses checking in from the Oregon State Beaver House. Get used to Oregon winning the offseason national championship. Yep, that's right. Yeah, that's right. Rockin' Man again. Moen, you don't have to grave dance on the Ducks. You can just use the transitive property of college football and do it on the SEC.
That's true. Ohio State beat Tennessee. If Ohio State beats Texas, it means we've defeated everybody in the SEC.
That's what Northern Illinois is banging. They're counting on that transitive national championship.
True.
I guarantee you. Bill G, BYU in the house. Good to see you, Bill. Thank you so much again for your membership and loyalty. We appreciate it. Horns down. So, let's talk Texas for just a second. We've sort of dunked on the SEC, not really on Texas necessarily. As a BYU fan, I've always kind of liked Texas. Texas was kind of an outlier. I didn't know much about the Midwest except to say I liked watching the old Big 8 games. Are we really? Is everybody cheering against Texas? Is that where we've gotten to now?
I think you've got 49 states rooting against Texas.
Okay. Okay.
I think most folks are rooting against Texas because of the SEC affiliation. If Texas was still in the Big 12, you'd still get a lot of Texas haters and stuff. But the fact that they joined up with the SEC makes them double bad. So it's like the extra stinky. So they're basically the worst right now, Texas Longhorns. They basically supplanted Alabama as like the most blue blood, stinky, rich.
Gotcha.
Too.
Yeah, I was going to say, Jan Hulk's in the chat. Jan, let us know how the feeling is in Slovenia. It might be 49 states and a couple countries, too, that are against it. Look, Texas killed the first they killed the Southwestern Conference.
They did.
Then they killed the Big 12.
Yeah.
They basically killed the Big 8 too when they formed the Big 12. Now they're in the SEC. Look, you can't go around pissing on everybody's shoes and then go, I don't know why everybody's upset with me. All I did was go around and piss on everybody's shoes. Jeez. That's what Texas did.
I will just say this about the national championship, the 4 teams we have. I am so grateful that we can't get an SEC national championship game.
Oh, thank goodness.
That would have been unbearable to deal with for a week of propaganda. That would have just broken the internet. I don't even know. Yeah, that would just have been horrible. Transitory to that, I don't think people are really complaining about the Big Ten. Isn't that ironic? The Big Ten, arguably right now, is the most powerful conference. They're the ones that got 4 teams in, and yet I don't see a lot of people bitching and moaning about Big Ten teams.
We're the good guys.
The SEC is just, yeah. Anyway, Argra, good to see you here. Thanks for being here Friday night and joining us. Still no word on Abdul. That's a huge hit if he isn't playing. There's a ton of talent on that line, but he's in another level over everyone. I'm not sure who that is.
Talking about Abdul Carter, number 11 for the Penn State and Nittany Lions.
Okay, all right.
He's their defensive end / linebacker. He's a beast. He'll be a first-round draft pick when he goes out in the NFL.
Is he related to Anthony Carter?
I have no idea.
Okay.
But he plays the same position.
Or
same
Kajana
number.
Carter? I mean, Penn State's had so many Carters.
Yeah, I've had a lot of Carters there. But
Yeah.
Abdul Carter's a difference maker. He's a disruptor. So if he is out, that is going to be definitely big hurt for Penn State.
Man, Penn State's actually flying under the radar, guys. There's
They are.
one school that are like in the Final Four. No one's talking about. No one's given a chance of winning the national championship. They haven't been so close since Joe Pa winning a national championship. This is it. Flying under the radar. They've got a good squad. They could get it done this year. Like seriously, they could easily beat Notre Dame and go in and have a chance to win a natty. They're so dang close. So we should give them a lot more run than we are.
Did they win in '94? Is that the last Penn State national championship?
There's a disputed national championship. I believe it's 93 or 94.
Okay. What's the dispute?
Well, they didn't win the AP national championship, but I believe
they got the coaches.
They won. They went undefeated. They won the Big Ten and went undefeated. So it's disputed. I know it's disputed, but it's not counted among their national championships.
I would have sworn I remember. I mean, I lived through it. I think I can remember they won a national championship
Brother,
in there somewhere.
I forgot so much stuff I lived through. I will look it
All
up.
right,
for
all
you,
right.
though.
Rock and rant. I personally want Ohio State to do things, coming from a Miami guy, by the way, to do things to Texas that are illegal in 50 states and North Korea. All right. Okay. Let's see here. We'll scroll down to some more just to get some additional shout outs. Rob Ellen in here for Clemson.
Hey.
Hope you're having a great night there, Rob. Good to see you. ASU safety looked like the UGA safety when Tua went deep in OT in the 2018 title game. I cannot recall that off the top of my head. Can you guys?
Big hit. I think it was a big hit. Yeah.
Okay. I couldn't place that.
There were 3 targeting calls in that Arizona State Texas game,
But only
3.
one was called.
I don't think any were called.
None
Yeah,
were
the
called.
ASU one was in the first half. Guy got kicked out.
Really?
Uh-huh.
In the versus Texas?
Yeah, in the first
Because I
half.
remember
they
when the
lost
Big
the guy.
12 championship game, ASU got a player bid, but I didn't think that in the playoff game.
Yeah, they lost somebody in the Texas game in the first half, which is something that Terry McCauley said. Hey, we see they're calling the penalty, so it's not like they never called the play, but they didn't in the second half at all. So, also,
by the way,
Go ahead.
94 Penn State football team. The team was selected national champions by devoid ECK rating system,
I don't know.
Matthew grid ratings.
So when
New
was their
York-
last championship then?
Well, I mean, if you're including this is going to be a disputed national championship.
I'm not counting that. When was
Utah's
their
got a 2008 national championship under that
they do.
criteria.
I think they won the Dove Bar national
We
championship.
had a poll that gave us the championship that year. So hey, I'll take
you had
it too if we're going to go
you
that
had
way.
the Joe Shine jewelry national
Devin and
championship,
Hester's
something
poll.
like that. Yeah, something like that. Ben and Jerry's maybe.
So I think the other one would be 87 when they beat
87.
Miami.
Okay. All right. Because it was Miami, then it went Penn State, then it was Notre Dame. Okay, that sounds right. Let's quickly get through the rest of these here. I want to shout out anybody else that's come along. No, all these are duplicates. Appreciate it. Here's one.
86. It wasn't 87. I apologize.
Wow,
That's all right.
long time
They're in there
ago.
somewhere. Well, I think Miami won in 87.
Yeah, I know that they did beat Miami for that national championship.
So Penn State, that Miami team in the 80s could have had 5 or 6 national championships, just like Alabama did in the last decade. That's how good those teams were. And probably in the 90s should have won a couple more. Miami was incredible. All right, Roll Tide Roll. Good to have you here, man. If you're representing Alabama, I hope you forgive the SEC shots. We like to take hits on them because arguably they're still the most dominant conference in college football. So that comes with the territory, but certainly no disrespect to Alabama or any of the teams in there, except for tonight, Ole Miss. Right now, I don't have any respect for them. But ASU down double digits the whole game. They played a good 10 minutes. The interception was targeting and no call. So why do you think the ref's going to call OT on Texas? Let's clear that up really quick. Terry McCauley, who I just referenced again, 35-year college and NFL referee, retired in the Referee Hall of Fame or whatever they do, or NFL Hall of Fame, said that both of them were targeting, to be very clear, but the interception would have still been active. So the ball would have been turned over and they would have been assessed a 15-yard penalty. So that doesn't really gain you a lot. Yeah, you'd fight the turnover, but it was third down anyway, or second down. So it's not a great win, even if everything you're saying is true. You guys want to add anything to that?
Yeah, I would just say this. Arizona State played a good 10 minutes. So did Texas. After that initial flurry.
Yeah, the first quarter,
they didn't really do much of anything for the rest of the game until it was overtime. So
yeah, that's true.
I think both teams, but the thing is, Texas was a number 5 seed. They were favored by 12 and a half, I think, right?
Correct.
12 and a half. And it took them into double overtime to beat Arizona State. So Arizona State very easily could have beat them.
And and guys, I know that there's not just one play that is all of the game, but the biggest plays and calls late in games affect wins and losses. Happens at every level. You can think back to the Saints playoff game versus the Vikings, I believe, when there was a horrible non-call and a pass interference that cost them the game, possibly cost them a Super Bowl. Yep. This happens all the freaking time. Looks refereeing subjective and stuff. They swallowed the whistle on that one. Arizona State would have the ball in the 37 with less than a minute. Forget overtime. You finish it right there. You kick a field goal after getting 10 yards. Texas was gassed. Scatterby was running all over them. They were a beaten team right there. Arizona had them right on the ropes and should have finished them off right there. They didn't have the opportunity based on the whistle being swallowed. I think that's criminal. I really do. And I think that it was I think either it was subjective bias or more corruption. I'm serious about that, guys. I don't think that was just omission stuff. Oh, a little bit of mistake here. I think it was strategic.
Hard to argue with the facts.
I think it was more the refs didn't want to be wrong on something or decide the game.
But they had this is the problem I have with that though. They watched it in slow motion.
Right.
The guy was knocked out on the field for 3 or 4 minutes. They had all the time they needed to go back and do a deep dive analysis on it.
I agree with you, but I think that they did not. The Big Ten refs just have this arrogance about them. Anybody who's a Big Ten fan will tell you they can never be wrong.
But what's ironic is all season long the Big Ten called targeting like every other play.
Oh, sure. It depends on the team.
How do you not call it?
It depends on the team, though, Nate. Trust me, Ohio State had no holdings called against every Big Ten team they played this season.
I get it. I understand. Okay. FF18 Buffs, new member contributor, has been on a show, going to do more shows in the future representing Colorado Buffaloes. Great show, guys. Go Buffs. Thank you again, Mo and Fergie. Fergie saying that. This counts as a click. We appreciate it. Thank you for being here. Great to see you, Fergie. I hope your family's doing well. Let's get to a couple more, and then we will get to my next video. Sooner in Texas. Good to see you, Sooner in Texas. There's only one rule in college football: never Texas.
There you go.
Cougar checking in, saying, by the way, I believe that's BYU Cougars in the house. Good to see you. Anyone but Texas and Ohio State, too. Sorry, Moen.
Listen, I'm pulling for Penn State. I mean, I'd like to see Ohio State play in the national championship game against Penn State. But if they lose to Penn State, it would hurt a lot less than if they lose to Notre Dame.
Man, Moen, I don't know. That would be brutal, losing at Notre Dame.
Justin R. checking in. Good to see you, Justin. How are the Bulls doing? How's the construction on that stadium going? You guys are stepping up, and I think it's great. Disagree. I'm not sure what he disagrees with, but with how the big conferences are, the P4 should go to 18 teams, which with 2 divisions of 9 each teams each, the division winners get an auto bid to the playoff and host a home playoff game. You'd be forcing, I mean, that's another idea. You'd be forcing leagues to go to divisions, though, and not every league wants to do that, i.e. the SEC. It's not a bad idea. I still think, I agree with Moan in one regard. I do think the money that comes with the conference championship game and what we would say would be semifinal games is too much for anybody to walk away from. I don't. Yeah, you're talking tens of millions of dollars. So, couple more. Jan Hulk checking in. As Moen already said, we are an international market, and College Football Mafia Network is worldwide. We go from the Southeast Asia all the way over to Europe, and Jan is in Slovenia. Excuse me. Big Ten and SEC will control playoff in the future. I think they will break away and create their own playoff in the end.
They sure might, but when the SEC starts losing playoff games, it really makes you look pretty weak if you're wanting to break away, and you can't even win a playoff game versus the Big 12 in the current state of things, right? Like, that's the problems, is like you have to dominate the playoffs if you want to break away, or the narrative just spins out and stuff, and it just seems like a joke. They've lost the narrative right now.
Yeah,
Agreed.
I don't think they're going to block access. I think the Big 12 and ACC and G5 will always have access to the playoff.
Yeah, I think that's baked into at least one spot. I think that's because you have to keep. You're talking tens of millions of viewers there, that you have to give them a lifeline, something to look forward to. How do you think How do you think Tulane and Memphis are thinking right now about possibly having the same path the Boise State just took? Right, it gives them hope. Hope is viewership. Hope is money. Hope is advertiser dollars.
Growth.
Anyway.
Yeah.
And let's just talk about entertainment. I'll let you get to the super chat here in a second.
Yeah,
I promise, Nate.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Texas-Arizona State game, the excitement of that game in the last 10 minutes of game time, that is what is going to lead them to keep more access to them. That was captivating television. The numbers spiked during the fourth quarter, which shows you that Cinderella stories do draw viewers.
Absolutely, they do. Yeah, absolutely. I was disappointed with Arizona State's show out at the game against Texas. They
As
should.
far as the fan turnout,
Yeah, they didn't, like, it was empty. Not empty, but there were seats available. Like, if that was BYU or Utah, you and I both know it would have been as red and blue as was humanly possible in that building.
Arizona State's a growing fan base. They had a fan base, but they've been down for so long that they declined, and it's going to grow a lot though after this year, though. So I think that's fair. That over the next 5-10 years, that would lift.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And we have to give grace to some of these brands that haven't been able. Anyway, Giddy Otham, $100 super chat.
Hey, hey.
Oh my gosh, I don't even know what to say. Thank you so much. You help us keep the lights on quite literally at times. We're not getting rich off this thing, so this money all goes into infrastructure, and we really, really appreciate that. Moen, can we do something else? How about we do sucking?
We can. We'll give you the sucking guy
Oh, my.
song, but when I saw
Let's-
this super chat, I just had to go.
Oh.
That's even better. I love that. Let's get the dancing though.
Sucking you, sucking you, and
There we
sucking
go.
you. They've been sucking you, sucking you, and sucking you. They've been sucking
I know
you,
Ute doesn't
sucking
like
you,
this
and sucking
necessarily,
you.
but this is
You're
Moen
sick
nice
of it.
party
Get it.
time.
They've been sucking you, sucking you, and sucking you. They've been sucking you, sucking you, and sucking you. They've been sucking you, sucking you, and sucking you. And you're sick of it. I get it.
And if you want to know what that is
Moen,
an
Moen,
inside-
stop, please.
that is an inside joke for our viewers. If you're a newer viewer, newer to the channel, first of all, please subscribe, follow us on Twitter. But that all goes to videos that Ute has created, videos that are for our members that basically describe what sucking means. And we encourage everybody that's watching right now, when this show's over, simulcast with the football game, and go watch those videos. Just look for sucking. I'm not sure the video
Milking.
link.
The term is
Milking,
milking.
sucking.
I apologize. Milking. And it defines what that is. So
Yes,
we won't
thank
spend
you.
any time on it right now, but
Thank you, Giddy Otham, for the $100 super chat and the kind words. We appreciate it. Love when new viewers come in here. Stick around. We got a lot more good stuff coming. January and February are going to be a little crazy.
we make hay in realignment off season. Everything to do with college football, we cover wall to wall. We're not just one league. We're all leagues, and this is really where our growth is going to come. So we encourage you to stick around, and consider becoming a member in the future. Let me read this. I did a general search for Big 12 on YouTube a few weeks ago, and everything I found came up short. I stumbled on you guys and never looked back. Thank you for all you do from a K-State alum. Even though BYU and Utah are Big 12 newbies, keep up the great work. Just so you know, Ute is also a K-State guy. So there you go. So we love representing the Big 12. We're here for that. And thank you for finding us, Moen. Are you taking cues off of what he's saying here? We want to make sure we're getting in all those searches and everything. Make sure we have all our words up
Brother,
in terms to get people.
Dude, I got
know
my
you do.
algorithm hand is down.
I know
strong.
you do. You're really good at it. I know. Thank you very much for the super chat. We appreciate it, Giddy Otham. All right, I'm going to do one more. I had it, and then now I just realized I lost it. Give me 1 second. No, I'm not going to be able to find it. If I come across it, I'm going to bring this other tweet up, but I don't want to do it right now, or message up. Okay, I'm going to add this to stage. I'm going to make us small. This is more messaging from ESPN. And I hit the wrong button.
Tony, I agree with most everything you said there. I mean, from the top for me, 12 is too many. And I'm going to disagree with people who are true experts, many of them colleagues and many of them friends on this network who've been talking all day. And they all bless 12. And I'm sorry, I'm not going to bless 12. It needs to be an 8-team tournament. Here's one of the reasons why it needs to be 8. First of all, college kids don't need to play 16 or 17 games in a season.
That's BS. They're being
heinous.
paid. They get
Now,
NIL
secondly,
money. They're
if
getting
you have 8,
medical
you don't have
coverage.
buys. You don't need buys.
That's
the teams
ridiculous
that have
too.
buys got beat, and they were rusty. Oregon, come on, Oregon doesn't deserve that fate. You don't need buys. Get in with 8. You seed them 1 through 8, addressing another one of your issues I agree with you on.
Yeah.
And you put those 8 teams out there, and you see, let's go. The teams that were rusty, Tony, they're at a disadvantage. They hadn't played in a month. Notre Dame had played last week. Ohio State had played like 10 days earlier, not been off for like 26 days. So, no, that's a disadvantage. If you have a bye, you don't want to have a disadvantage. They can fix the seeding. Just fix it. They're not going to go from 12 to 8 because this is a greed play. It's a money play for everybody involved,
Mike,
including this network.
I don't hate it. I don't hate it. I just think it needs adjusting. I think one of the things that we saw is it belies the fact that the SEC is by far the best conference. That's not true. Tennessee went out in their first game. Georgia went out in their first game. Texas is in, but they're not really an SEC team yet.
They
It's like
should've
they came
lost.
in the transfer portal.
So take that right there. I think what we learned from that is one, Tony Kornheiser isn't drinking the Kool-Aid. And two,
Well-
that Michael Wilbon got the memo. I think that's what we're seeing between the contrasts there. And in the future months, don't be surprised if these guys start getting closer to a single message.
Sure, but just remember, Michael Wilbon is a Northwestern guy, so even if they expanded the playoff to 32 teams, his team's still not
Oh,
getting in.
wow.
He's never getting in.
Oh, my goodness gracious. That is mean. That's cold, Moen. That is absolutely cold.
Guys, I would
mean,
rather have an 8-team playoff than a 12-team playoff. I want a 16. I think it's appropriate to have a 16, but I think those points are actually valid. The buys are so stupid. They need to be eliminated. I'd rather just have 8 teams play each other. Like right after championship weekend, get going on and stuff and finish college football by early January without pushing it in almost to February. It's kind of crazy kind of how far we're pushing this thing anyway. And if we're going to do it, if we're going to push it this distance, let's just have 16. No more buys. I'm sick of the college football playoff committee making the determination subjectively who should get a free week in the playoffs based on a bye. It's ironic that you're going to lose, though, in these matchups and stuff being off 3 weeks. But I just think that it kind of stinks. And I think that we should get to big-time football right after championship week without having to wait 3 weeks for a couple weeks. So give me 8, give me 16. 16's the best, 8's second best, 12's third best in my view.
Sergeant Pickles, $1.99, $2 super chat. Good to see you, Pickles. Again, thank you very much. 8 was perfect, but not going back now.
Yeah.
I don't think 8 was ever perfect. I wanted 4 to 16. I thought 12 was a sort of a broken step, trying to appease the same people that Moen's trying to appease with the conference championship games. Boise State wasn't one of the original projected 4. They got in and got a bye, and look what happened to the ACC. They got bushwhacked. So the bye itself is broken. Yeah.
Here's the thing.
And
You gotta
home
remember-
games. Home games in the first round. Maybe the second round too.
There were 3 architects to this 12-team playoff: Bob Bowlesby, Greg Sankey, Jack Swarbrick. So, I mean, and of course, this was all done while Sankey was
Texas,
negotiating behind the scenes to put Texas
and that's not what
Oklahoma into the
Bowlesby knew.
SEC.
Bowlesby thought that
Right.
Texas and Oklahoma were in his backyard. That's right.
Absolutely. So I think you're right. This was what everybody could kind of agree on. And
Yeah.
you're right. You're not going to get a perfect system because, I mean,
There is no perfect system.
Yeah, there is no perfect
We're
system.
We're not advocating that at all.
there's no
It's much
perfect
better
system.
than 4. I'm
But I
very
would
happy
wait-
we got
yes.
such good football this offseason, actually. It's much better than 4. Much better than 4.
I just want to wait and see more data from it. It's hard to extrapolate based off of just one season of the 12-team playoff.
Yeah, I'm not doing extrapolation necessarily. I'm just saying from just what it looks like going into it, I kind of knew we were going to be here. I didn't know all 4 were going to lose, but I was pretty sure at least 2 were going to lose because it's hard to, if you're not in it every week. They were already getting 1 week off. Nobody needed 2.5 weeks off between football games. And it was easy to see all 4 games started off slow, except for Texas. Oh, sorry, Texas was the road team. Every one of those teams, including ASU, started slow.
Mm-hmm.
Their first halves were slow. And you saw it took a little while for Scattaboo to get up to beating on people with his shoulder pads, to running over tacklers and DBs for Texas before it's not an accident that they came back in the second half of that game. That I was not surprised at all that happened. So
It was glorious.
yeah,
And it saved the reputation of the Big 12. I'm serious, guys.
Sure.
Like, if ASU doesn't come back and they get punked by Texas, then we are completely talking about a different narrative right now. But ASU saved the whole reputation of the conference going into next year and future years. Is massive just for perspective and everything. So just thank you, Sun Devils. Thank you so much for just showing out in that game.
I completely agree. I support
Absolutely,
everything.
absolutely. The Big 12 shows it belong. The ACC, you got some work to do.
Which is
Yeah.
ironic because, and we're not going to do this tonight, but we're going to do a special show. And I'm talking about a special show. We're going to bump it up for a couple weeks. We're going to have Jeff Fuller on, and we're going to talk FPI. ESPN FPI is absolutely broken, and he's a data analyst, and he can prove it with data. He can prove it with actual numbers. And you can see where the bias is for all the other conferences minus the Big 12. And it's extraordinary. So I'm teasing it now. That show will be coming in the future. But it's absolutely shocking. And it's so shocking, and it drew so much attention that Tim Brando commented on it and basically said, you're 100% right. And it's broken. So FPI, broken stat, all the bias that goes into the preseason rankings, everything, all the mechanics of football. And honestly, it could absolutely shock people how the data actually plays out. So that'll be a show coming up in the future. All right, guys, we are through the rest of the comments. Let me throw Michael Smith here in the end. They are still fake students. That means fake final exams. That's why 2 weeks off. Yeah, they play, Army-Navy plays the extra week. Then you have championship games. I think that's all. I understand what you're saying, and that's been the story. I don't believe any of it. I never have.
So the argument is for finals? Wait for finals? That's the reason we can't start
That's
sooner?
the reason that, there was a delay for finals and everything else. That's right.
My goodness. Since when did these kids actually go to school? Like, I mean,
Yeah,
in NIL, I think that the world's changed in college football. We need to think as it's pro football. It's semi-pro.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
These aren't student athletes anymore.
Which is why you
They're pro
hear
athletes.
statements like what he was just saying about these are students in 16, 17 games. That's millions of dollars, people.
Right.
Your D tackle is probably being paid $250,000 if you're in a power conference.
More than you'll ever make in a given year, probably.
Right. Right.
Oh,
and you're talking to me about finals. They can pay somebody to take their finals for them.
Right.
By the way, guys, I want to bring this up real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
Rose Bowl averaged 21.1 million viewers on ESPN, making it the most watched non-NFL sporting event since last year's national championship game. Pat McAfee's Altcast also had 2.4 million viewers. That's not included in the 21.1. ESPN's most watched Altcast ever for any sport. If you include those numbers in, it actually outdid last year's national championship game.
I can tell you right now that a Notre Dame Ohio State matchup, it will do 25 million plus.
I think this Texas Ohio State matchup is going to get ridiculous numbers too. Oh my gosh, massive brands. But in the championship, it's Notre Dame. Even Penn State's a huge draw though.
It is not quite as much as Ohio State.
Cash.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, you're right.
The best part, guys, Pennsylvania, Ohio, Indiana all have 3 of the 4 teams remaining. It just means more in the Midwest.
It just means more. Troy V says, don't they have to wait out much of December because of end of semester stuff? Yeah, we just talked about that. Good to see you though, Troy V. Thank you for being here. Make sure you subscribe and follow us on Twitter. I forgot to mention at the beginning, make sure you turn on your notifications, everybody. Hit the little bell icon if you're watching online, and basically subscribe so that you always know when our shows are on. We do pop-up shows. We do one-off videos. Only way to find that stuff out in real time is if you turn on your notifications. Cougar says, hey, Bomber and Wild Ute, Utah Utes Football Digest. Okay. Just had Sean. Oh, that's a Twitter account. Okay.
Yeah, well, that's Joseph over. He has a YouTube channel too.
Okay.
Utah Utes Football Digest.
And I've chatted with him on Twitter. Just had Sean Tanuvasa explaining everything you need to know about why his son leaving Utah and going to BYU. It's not what you think. I saw a tweet that Sean put out. I thought it was pretty straightforward, so I'm not sure if there was something new revealed. Could you post can they post Twitter links in the comments?
You can't post links. Unfortunately, due to spam bots, we can't allow it.
Okay, Cougar, could you do me a favor and send me a Twitter message with that link? I'd love to see it. because I know earlier in the day Sean did a tweet about it, but I didn't realize there was an interview as well. Let me get to a $5 super chat here from Heartbreak 25. That's a great name. Thank you so much, Heartbreak 25, for the $5 super chat. Bomber can't bash the SEC at ESPN for hypothetical matchups, but start creating them for BYU and the CFP. BYU never beat big SEC team and lost to KU. Okay. I mean, you can only beat who you play. I'm not sure what you expect BYU to do there.
They beat the ACC runner-up,
and they also beat
did.
K-State, and I think there was a third top 25 team they beat. Oh, Colorado. They destroyed Colorado. They actually took apart Colorado, like a dog was picking at a bone. So, yeah, but you're right. I mean, that's a fact. What you're saying.
I love like how everyone's talking about hypothetical SEC. That term right now, it just makes me laugh every time because you see that everywhere. The SEC is hypothetically going to beat anybody, anywhere, anytime. The game's already over. Why even bother playing it? Unfortunate thing is, when they actually play games, they lose in the playoffs.
Well, and I hope you understand those are tongue in cheek, right? Of course they can't beat them. They don't play them. I mean, we're not about hypotheticals around here. I mean, I guess we could spend some time on if this and this and transitive this, and we generally don't get caught up in that. So I think I've seen you around before. So let me just say it right now. Yeah, I say stuff with sarcasm. I say stuff with inflection. So obviously they can't beat Ole Miss, right? But I saw proposed by College Football Hot Takes on Twitter. Guy says, who votes against this? And it was Ole Miss and BYU. And I can tell you right now, that game, well, go back and watch BYU take apart Colorado and tell me their DBs couldn't hold up against Jackson Dart. I want somebody to tell me that.
Well, here's the thing. You could also take that game and look at the Kansas game and say, what offense could the offense keep up with Ole Miss? Even if Ole Miss only gets 17 or 20 points.
I think that's fair, but everybody knows the quarterback was hurt, right? There was a reason. Now, his throws to the right flat into the end zone are always picked off, so I don't know why he calls that play. But, yeah, he was hurt for that game. So, anyway, it doesn't matter. This is all nonsense anyway. It would be a fun game, though. I think a lot of people would watch Ole Miss play BYU.
Heartbreak's one of our resident Penn State fans, so he doesn't have to worry about hypothetical.
No, he doesn't. You're very lucky. You make Ute and I feel sad.
He's all about the real thing, the real deal, not the Lane Kiffin hypothetical.
Yeah,
the mini NFL, as Lane Kiffin said, what just a select Big Ten team or two? Gee, how condescending is that, right?
You know, and the important thing is they could settle this, just sign a scheduling agreement with the Big Ten. Then you don't have to worry about hypothetical.
Moen, stop it. Stop it.
Moen, you realize that butts out the Big 12, though, right?
No, it doesn't.
Moen, that butts out the Big 12 when you do that.
You can still guarantee access to the playoffs to the Big 12, ACC, and 2 G5 schools.
Moan, why don't we just get together and let's just make sure we can put out the ACC instead? Let's all three do it.
All right. Let's get to this. I know Moen wanted to get to this story. Let's be very clear about this. We're talking about an if scenario. So that is an IF. This has not been confirmed. It won't even be voted on or presented till next week. But Moen, why don't you kind of tell everybody what this tweet's about?
Sure. This came from Brett McMurphy. Today, Chris Vanini's put up an article about it, but he did source Brett McMurphy, I believe, in the comments. So Brett came out with this and said that Tuesday they are going to have a vote for the Northern Illinois football team to become a football-only member of the new Mountain West Conference. But the deal is not done yet, and we were talking about it in our group chat a little bit. There was a situation where they also had interest in Toledo, and certain people in the state of Ohio got involved and prevented that from happening. That could happen in Illinois, too, from what I understand. Northern Illinois is a public university. They could theoretically stop this from happening. So it's not a done deal. This also could be a way for Northern Illinois to get more money out of the MAC. We'll see what happens, but this is terrible. This is the worst thing that could happen in realignment.
Why?
You don't touch Maction, people. You just don't do it. Listen,
Bong's
I'm
feeling
fine
the
with
negative
every other
effects of realignment.
I'm fine with every other realignment, but don't mess with
Yeah.
the MAC.
There we
It's
go.
the best G5 conference in terms of football games.
It's not fun when people mess with your conference, is it? It sucks. It
Look,
sucks. That's what.
This is a great
here's-
move for the Mountain West. This is
Yeah.
a great move for the Mountain West. They needed this. They lost, 4 or 5 brands? One of those being Boise State. I mean, it's just, this had to happen for the Mountain West Conference.
Well, and it hasn't happened yet. Again, we got to wait till Tuesday to see what happens, if the vote even happens.
Right.
Like I said, I would not be shocked if somebody in Illinois at the Illinois Board of Higher Education did not step in and try and do something to stop this.
And as I recall, the vote's Tuesday, right?
Yes, the Board of Trustees will be meeting this Tuesday. And
Okay.
it's a public university, so it should be a public hearing. But I don't know as far as date or as far as time and whether or not there's going to be a live webcast of it.
Okay. Just
will
so
try and
everybody
figure that
knows, I
out.
posted the link in the comment section for this article. We always try to give credit to the creators, and this was Chris Vanini wrote this article. So, or at least this is his repost. I'm not sure if he wrote the original article. I guess I could look. Let's see. Oh, I can't even tell who wrote it. Sorry. I would tell you if I knew, but Chris Vanini put out the tweet. Now you know what it was. We'll talk about this next week if it goes through. Greg Flugar, Peek Around the Corners, really covering this in great detail, much more than we're doing right now. So I encourage everybody to find him on YouTube and on Twitter, and he might be able to give more detail than we're giving you. But the bottom line is the Mountain West needed to do something, needed to strike back. Don't be surprised if they make a run at North Texas or UTSA to come over as well. There are some, maybe even other teams in Texas to come and play football in the Mountain West Conference. What do we, really quick before we get off this, what do we think about football only membership? Is that possibly going to go up, become more frequent in the G6?
Absolutely. Based on the payouts you get for playing football and the exposure you get. Like it or not, Northern Illinois, the MAC's not doing a lot for them. It's not serving them. That's why they're looking to get out. They're looking to jump to the next level. The Mountain West is clear the next level. If you want proof of that, let's take a look at their financial statements real quick, okay?
Yeah, let's put that
this
up
is-
and go full screen. Hang
This
on.
is
Go ahead.
Northern Illinois, based on the most recent fiscal year end. Like, I know everybody loves their Maction, but like, let's see how much the Maction's really yielding Northern Illinois in media rights. Okay, so if you look at Northern Illinois for their most recent fiscal year end, based on their financial statements, their entire athletic department made $24 million, and a good 13 million is coming from a source that we don't know. Maybe funding from the school, maybe boosters. I don't know.
Wow,
But the fact-
that's a lot.
Yeah, it's funding
Wow.
most of their athletic department, right? And then, but if you're looking here, your conference distributions of 1.7 million, like your media rights, it's not even included in there. Like, they're making like $1 million or $2 million in media rights. Like,
That's,
they're very broke.
the Mountain
like
West
how-
pays out 4, right? And they're currently
Yeah,
in
it's gonna pay out
negotiations
something
to
like
go
that.
up 5 or 6 maybe. Yeah.
But then your exposure goes up too.
Yep.
Because you're in the Mountain West Conference. This is a no-brainer. Absolute no-brainer. They're going to take it. I don't know how it's going to get blocked. I know that's not fun to hear, Moen and stuff, but like, they're just bettering themselves,
Well, and what's to block? I realize there's travel
right?
things, but all their other sports are going to stay regional, whatever conference they're going to be in. At football, they want to be a player. They want access. I'm sure their coach said, man, I wish we had the opportunity to do what Boise State did after they beat Notre Dame. So I think, and I think this could happen much more. I think this could become a template for other schools. Sacramento State, for instance, doing the exact same thing.
This is not easy to hear, but the bigger universities and states basically control everything that happens at the smaller public universities.
Right, they're part of the same.
There's usually a board of
Right.
higher education, like anything that happens at Ohio universities,
Okay.
it goes through Ohio State.
Okay.
I don't know if that's going to be the case in Illinois. I'd imagine Illinois, the University of Illinois at Champaign, gets so much more funding than everybody else. If the University of Illinois doesn't want it to happen, it will not happen. And there might be petty reasons that they don't want to compete for more in-state recruits. Could be any number of things. But the thing that concerns me is they say that they're going to be paying them more than they're making in their MAC contract. I want to know if that's just based off the flat media rate they have now, or if they're using some more of those poaching funds for kickbacks to offer them an even more lucrative deal to bolt from the MAC. And as far as exposure goes, I would say you're actually losing exposure with Maction. You're on an ESPN network. You have no competition as far as games go. Moving to the Mountain West, you're going to be competing with the new Pac-12. I
Yeah,
believe
but
the
it's
Mountain
still
West
better
is,
than in the MAC.
Yeah,
no, but I
it's
mean
not
the MAC
close.
you get Tuesday nights all to yourself. It's Tuesday night
Nobody-
football in the MAC.
Yeah, but you're not getting any. What does that do?
The ratings on
for
those
you?
got to be like 10,000 people, though. 20,000 people.
You
for a
might
game.
have it
I'm
all to
serious
yourself,
about that.
Mo. And our point is that who cares if nobody's watching?
People watch. People watch Maction.
Okay, I know you're dead.
People that
I get
people
it.
that like Maction,
People
right?
that and there's one of them right here. Becky Go Huskies, contributor extraordinaire, covers us here saying if we lose Tuesday night, Maction, we riot. So look, I get it. People love it. I don't. They might get millions of views. I have no idea. I'm just saying.
I gotta see this.
If you're NIU, this is a move you had to make if you want to stay relevant.
It's a no-brainer for NIU. It really
By the
is.
way, that meeting will be public. I posted a link in the chat. It
Oh,
has
good.
a link to the video conference as well as the conference code you'll need. It kicks off at 8:30 Central Time, which would be 9:30 Eastern Time.
Lonnie Johansson checking in. Valuable member, OG, 11 months. Thank you so much, Lonnie. We appreciate your loyalty and your continued support. Honestly, it helps us do stuff around here. Hi from Northeast Kansas, and go BYU and UAU and the Big 12. Let me ask this is a question for you, Ute. The Big 12. It seems like we're starting to coalesce around a message here. Getting a lot more of the support for each other than maybe you're seeing in other conferences for other schools. What do you think?
I think that there is a common foe for everybody in the Big 12, and it's the SEC.
Right
and like
now
if Utah and BYU fans can agree on that, that's a healthy thing because it's been pretty unhealthy for a while over like the months and everything. So it's kind of a nice and breath of fresh air. Everybody on this channel is great. I love all the Cougar fans we've got here. But sometimes out there in the sphere, it's not quite as cordial or nice. But we do have a common foe, and that's the SEC.
By the way,
Yeah,
I got to give a
completely
sounder
agree.
to Becky Go Huskies and Lonnie Johansson.
Please.
By the way, if you guys did not tune into last Friday's Big Freakin' Friday show, tune into the last 10, 15 minutes of it. You'll find out why Becky's new nickname is Becky Go Moped.
That's
Give
funny.
me some milk.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, I
Milk.
am seeing the interview. I will shoot you the link. The Sean Tanavasu interview. It looks like 17 minutes.
I'll watch that
So
later.
they have some. I'm saying in private chat. I'm not saying this second.
Gotcha.
All right. So let's go through this, Mo. Let's see how we did this last week.
By the way, this is round 2 results. I was just in a hurry and forgot to change that. Bomber undefeated 4-0.
Woohoo!
Nice.
Wild Ute 3-1. Moen 3-1. Pickles
Let's
3-1. Rock 3-1. Gygax 3-1. Becky Go Mopeds 2-2.
4-0. That's all I'm saying is 4-0.
Well, Ute went 4-0 the week
I
previously.
lost the regular season, so.
Wild Ute is still in the lead at 7-1. Then Bomber
Mhm.
and Gygax are right behind him at 6-2. Moen, Pickles, and Becky representing the Big Ten Mafia show at 5-3. Rockin' Rant at 4-4. He made some underdog picks this week, and it worked out for him. So
Yeah, but he won the regular season.
he did win the
so
regular season. Yes,
yeah.
absolutely.
He has some good street cred on that. Really quick. So what's the picks for next week then?
We are going to pull them up right here.
Okay.
Only 2 games next week, Thursday and Friday night. Thursday night, kicking off, I believe, at 7:30 Eastern. Notre Dame at Penn State. Penn State's considered the home team in this. It's not played at Penn State. Penn State only favored by 1.5 points. This is basically a pick 'em. Basically a pick 'em. I like Penn State. I like the Nittany Lions. I hope Rockstar Aller shows up instead of subpar Aller. I think that's what's going to matter. If the right Drew Aller shows up, I think Penn State has this one in the bag. But I do love Notre Dame's physicality. But I think Penn State has enough to get it done. I think they can win by a field goal. Bomber, you guys both took the Fighting Irish, so
We did. Why don't you say why we did?
Dun 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 dun. Isn't that the Fighting Irish song right there, Moan? That's the fighting song, right?
well, now that you've sung it, sure. I have no idea what you're singing.
Yeah, anyway. So the Fighting Irish, I mean, like the defense is legitimate. Leonard is a stud. They're gritty. They're hot right now. They just seem to be like a team of destiny a little bit. This is the best Irish team I've seen in a long, long time. It was that way all season long. This team has been underrated all season. I think I respect Penn State a lot. I think this is absolutely going to be a battle. Penn State has a really solid defense. I like how Aller's playing right now. I love the two-back tandem. This is going to be a freaking physical football game, a great football game. I just think Notre Dame just has a little bit too much momentum, and they just figured out based on Riley Leonard. He gets it done somehow.
I think that Notre Dame showed a lot to me this last game. Flexibility, adaptability. I think Freeman is making calls loose. He doesn't look afraid like Kelly used to look when he was in these big games. He always went into a shell. I don't think Marcus Freeman does not have that fear in his eyes. He looks deadly. And I think it's going to be a great game. You're talking 3-4 points, but I think Notre Dame wins it.
Okay.
O-H. Is that how you say it? O-H.
Yeah. Nobody's disagreeing with this pick. I thought we might get one person that Texas might pull it off.
Not after what happened on Wednesday night.
Texas.
The original line was 1, and within 3 hours, it jumped up to 6.
I bet.
Right now, I believe it's at 6.5. I imagine that's going to keep going. Lots of action being placed on Ohio State. I will say this. I am betting Ohio State. I am betting over. I'm betting the money line for the duration of the playoffs. That has hit for me the last 2 weeks and hit in a big way. I just think Ohio State's too dominant. I mean, if Ohio State gets up, I don't know that Texas can keep up.
I will say this. I think the perception of Texas went down considerably after the game with Arizona State. I think if this was happening in a vacuum, Texas would be a 1-point game in Vegas. But Texas did not look good. There was that one look. Did you guys see I was going to take a picture of it where Sarkisian was watching the kick go up that missed the upright that took him to overtime or whatever that was. And his face, he did not look dialed in. He was the opposite of Marcus Freeman. I will say that. And so I think the betting line is more about the vulnerability of Texas even than how good Ohio State looked. Although Ohio State looked like world beaters. There's no doubt about it. They could probably beat my Seahawks this Sunday. But it was that's where my mind is on it. What do you think, you?
Yeah, Texas looks like a physically beat down football team. Believe it or not, this will be game 16 for Texas. We're not even to the championship game yet.
Right.
Like, we're getting a lot of tread. Texas played in the SEC championship and had a brutal physical matchup versus Georgia. They went into the wild card round, got it done versus Clemson, closer than you think, physical football game, and they just got pounded by Arizona State. Like they
They
are a
did,
beaten
too.
team. They're a banged up team. They're a tired team. New conference change, a lot of games and stuff. And I think this is where the dam breaks. And like they are a talented team. I actually picked Texas to win the whole thing. But just based on their body language, just seeing the injuries pile up and stuff, this looks like a tired, beaten team. Ohio State is hot as nails right now. It's going to be hard to beat the Buckeyes in this game. So I'm going Ohio State.
To cover. What is it now?
Cover.
6 points?
It's 6 points. I put it
Yeah.
at the latest cover at about 5 o'clock this afternoon.
I definitely
It's now
think they
moved to
cover.
6.5. So, but
6.5?
6.5
Oh
are the
my
same
gosh.
thing, basically. You know.
Usually Vegas knows their stuff. That's all I'm saying. Wow, that's great. Anything else about these picks before we get into our world famous Q&A?
It's kind of interesting to look at Penn State too, because Penn State played 3 football games in December, just like Texas. They lost in the championship game, but then they started getting it rolling and everything. But Penn State doesn't seem to be quite as banged up. They have a few injuries though.
Yeah.
But Texas just looks like they've just been absolute the ringer, guys.
Well, and
Like-
Ewers did not look good. Let's be perfectly honest. You don't call
Hot
cover
cold.
0 on a 4th and 13 if you you don't have confidence in their. You just don't do that if the quarterback's playing well. So
Man, Arizona State.
why not Manning? That was my question. In the second half, when they went flat after that hot start, I would have gone at halftime to Manning. Why didn't Sarkisian do that?
To me, like it wasn't Ewers that really was the problem. I thought it was just like the physicality of Arizona State in the second half of that football game, defensively, offensively. They really brought it. They brought the most physical game. They played physical all year long in the Big 12. They beat up Utah, and like that's crazy. Like Utah
Can I
doesn't get beat
stop
up
you
by
right
any-
there really quick?
Yeah.
And I'll let you finish. The thought process when you came into the Big 12, I warned you how physical this league was. Remember we talked about the change from more finesse Pac-12 to more of a rugged Big 12. What's your perception now?
To be honest with you, I don't think it's any different than I would have thought. I think
Okay.
Arizona State was a Pac-12 team that came into the Big 12, and they were building
were.
a beast. And so Dillingham came a year before, and they got it going. And Arizona State was a physical football team. So I think that BYU inherently plays physical. Utah does. Arizona State does too. But that is a very physical football team. And to see them put it onto Texas, an SEC team, was crazy. And Texas, again, just going back to it, they're a beat-up team and everything. I just think that the dam breaks this time.
That second Georgia loss took a lot out of them. That's where I've been watching them. I don't think that Clemson game was much closer than the final score. So I don't know. We'll see. Anything else on that before we get to Q&A? We're gonna have to go rapid fire tonight. Moen?
Nope. We can jump to Q&A. Let's go
Okay,
for
let's
it.
do that. All right. Welcome to the world famous Q&A of the College Football Mafia Network. We do this on every show. At least we try. All the ones I do, certainly. We take as many of your comments as we can. We obviously defer to super chats and super stickers. Those always get read. There's no skips on those things at all. We then flag comments. We've done that through the show, and then we'll also do it here at the end. So feel free to leave a comment. They don't cost you anything. And last but not least, we do defer to member comments. And these member comments, you'll always know because they have the little squiggle next to their name. Like this one right here. This super chat we got just a second ago from Lonnie Johansson. $2 super chat. Thank you, Lonnie. Happy New Year to your family. Let's get to Becky Go Huskies. Another one. I went 3-1 for your information.
No, you
Do
didn't.
we have the
You
wrong
went-
stats for Becky?
No, you didn't. I went back and double checked it, Becky. You took
Oof.
Penn State, Texas, Ohio State, and Georgia.
Ooh,
Texas did not cover.
ooh.
Georgia was favored, and obviously they didn't cover because they lost the game. So you went 2-2, Becky. I checked.
Oh,
Don't
Becky,
punch
I'm
me
He
in
wants
the
a
face.
recount, Moan.
Yeah, don't punch me in the face and steal a moped to get away now.
What is this all about? This special one right here, Moen.
That's right. Lonnie Johansson, friend of the family, gifted a membership. Jose, if you are still in the chat, make sure you thank Lonnie Johansson for that membership. You now have access to all the perks of being a College Football Mafia member, including specialized emote in the chat and access to our massive and growing video library, including Wild Ute University. So Thank you so much, Lonnie Johansson. You're a good dude. We like you. I'm happy that BYU had a good season.
And I will say this, Lonnie, thank you so much for your gift. If you've received a gift at any time on this channel, consider paying it forward and giving a gift to somebody else. Spread this little network out that we've got, and we'll continue to provide some of the best content to our members, I would say, on YouTube. I would put the shorts that we put together, the videos that we take time to produce, up against anybody else on YouTube. I still have yet somebody to challenge me with something that's better, more slick, and more production oriented than what we do here. So members get all that access. All you have to do is go to the membership page, hit membership as the tab on the main homepage, and it'll show the entire library. And I think we're well over 50 videos now. And it's the off season again. What do we do in the off season?
No, we talk about the hot news of the day, realignment, and hey, I'm looking forward to it, guys.
Yeah,
a lot of analysis we're going to jump into. This is the community for you to talk college football when we're dry as a bone and we're starving for it.
That's what we do. That's what we do. Now's the time. Anyway, Joaquin Morales checking in. Good to see you, Joaquin Morales. Obviously, ASU in the house. Yeah. Hey, College Football Mafia family, just stop by to smash that like button, Moen. Maybe next year you'll get ASU versus OSU. Go Devils.
I was looking forward to it, Joaquin. I saw Jake Plummer on the sidelines there. I immediately put in a call and said we need to get Joe Germain and David Boston on the sideline for Ohio State in that matchup. But
let's do that one again. Let's do that again. Timothy Green checking in. I absolutely valuable member, OG member, one of the best that we have as a member. I absolutely can't stand Notre Dame or Penn State. So what the hell am I supposed to do? I don't want nobody to win that one.
That's what I felt like in that Georgia Notre Dame game.
I kind of like Penn State, guys. I'll be honest. Penn State's just one of those schools that I just think have really cool colors. And outside of the old Joe Pa stuff that happened at the end, Penn State.
Of course, blue and white is cool when it's Penn State, but when it's BYU blue and white,
you're talking Navy versus Royal. Navy versus Royal. And Penn State blue is black. Let's be perfectly honest. On TV, it's black. And their uniforms, I know Notre Dame supposedly has the most identifiable uniform in the country probably because of their helmets. In my opinion, it's Penn State. All white helmets, one stripe down the helmet, or is it two now? And those flat colors, no crazy gimmicks.
Clean. So
clean is the right word. Clean is the right word. BYU does clean too in Royal, but anyway, I think Utah has crimson as well. Thank you. Appreciate that, Timothy Green. It's great to see you. Larry, the GM, who actually does this for a living, checks in with a few stats here. So let's go right to him. Thank you, Larry, for being a member.
Thank you for dropping the max stats there.
Perfect. Yeah, let's get to by the way, I want to recognize Larry. He is always giving me advice on how we should be doing things here. We all make mistakes, but we make those mistakes in public and we turn around and make up for them. So Larry, I want to publicly thank you for everything you've done for us. So we'll do some action stuff here. Week 12, 56K, 70K, 269, 381. I'll turn these over to you in just a second. So 56, 70, 269, 381. 64, 236, 414, 497.
What?
And then, and then one more. 46 and 347. So let's talk about these numbers right here. Those seem significant. 500,000?
Those are max. The 64 is probably a Saturday game, but this 236, 414, 497, that is probably going to be your maxing games that air on ESPN2.
Holy smokes.
That's a lot.
Way more viewers than I thought on Maction.
Yeah, that's a lot. I don't know. We might have to do a little deep dive on Maction.
Wow. No wonder people are so miffed here with this Northern Illinois move.
They're losing a lot. Action. It's like Boise State leaving the Mountain West. I mean, it's just that kind of a crippling. He also says Ewers had a 182 QBR, but you go with your narrative.
I think QBR is 1 to 100 this month.
No, QBR is the one that it goes infinite. It goes 225. The other one is the NFL rating. I can't remember what that one's called. It's not QBR though. What's that other stat? 0 to 100.
What's the ESPN stat for it?
Yeah, I can't remember what they made it up a few years ago. I can't remember what it is. Anyway, 184 in college is that's pretty good. I'm not the one who said yours was struggling. By the way, I was taking that off of quotes I saw from Texas people, or sorry,
right.
Arizona State people. Let me get this out before I forget. Arizona State was saying, and Dillingham justified his cover zero blitz because Ewers was struggling. That was the narrative we were hearing from Arizona State people. So if Ewers wasn't struggling and 184 or 182 doesn't seem like he's struggling too much, that was the justification for cover zero blitz. It's fourth down. I mean, anyway, go ahead, Moen. What were you going to say?
I was going to say, Larry, please give me the timestamp when Nate says that, and I'll make a short video of it. Nate saying, I never said that. And I'll clip it where he's saying exactly that.
What did I say? I want somebody to tell me what I said, actually.
I think that he was just
refuting.
I think you made mention that Ewers was having a bad game. I think that
I was taking
issue
other
with
people's
that.
analysis. Okay, I'll be perfectly honest. I don't get into the data like Ute does. I'm more general, just by visual. I was taking what I heard in this conversation after Dillingham's tweet. So if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, obviously. But on top of that, that's where the filter came in. It went into my brain and it came out, and that was other people's data I was passing along. Okay. Let's see here. We'll get to some more comments. We got another super chat from Larry. Thank you so much, Larry. We appreciate all of your generosity in this new year. Gets us off to a good start. Another $5 super chat. I'm a member of the church. You know how we roll. When you're talking about the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, LDS, Mormons, and I am too. So that's how we do. Moen is too. He just doesn't like to talk about it.
I'm like the worst Mormon in history. I drink a pot of coffee
Moen
a
was
day
baptized in his youth, and he's just, he's
Moen, are you
on
Mormon?
the outside. No,
and-
it's ridiculous. To Town Hawk,
man.
good to see you. Kansas in the house. My narrative is that Kansas beat Texas in football twice. Happy New Year, everyone. Here is to a good health and happiness to everyone here. Viva college football sickos. And we are definitely that.
That's exactly.
Thank you so much for doing that. Here's another one for you from Larry. You might be interested to look at the G5 conference's TV ratings comps. Did we do
I'll tell
that
you
this
what.
last off season?
I mean, I've got the data. We haven't
Done a
dived
show
a lot
on it.
and done videos on it. But I'll tell you what, those Maction numbers actually score up pretty well with the Pac-2 numbers. Seriously, the Pac-2 numbers were 500,000, 600,000, 700,000, and the Maction numbers for some games are getting around 500,000. That's crazy. That's more than the Mountain West is probably yielding.
And I think the 182 is what he's talking about here. That's the ESPN number. So the other one, I don't know who made up those numbers. It doesn't matter to me. Michael Parks, welcome to the party here. I'm not sure I recognize you, so make sure you subscribe. If you're watching this and you're brand new, make sure you hit the subscribe button. Follow us on Twitter. You'll see our names pop up between comments. And turn on your notification. Off season is where we make hay. This is when we grow. I picked up 300 followers in 24 hours on Twitter because this is what we do. We get into the news of college football, and we appreciate you being here. So make sure you make us part of your week. MFREA, what does that mean, Moen?
Marcus Freeman era, I assume.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
It does have a.
Wow,
it does have the Shamrock in there. So, okay. I think I've been super impressed with Marcus Freeman. His first year was but the last couple or three have been really, really good. In my opinion.
He's got swag too, guys. Marcus
He
Freeman.
does. He does have swag, doesn't he? That's a good way to put it. He does. Just so everybody knows, we're on notice. We got 10 minutes to go. You want your comment to be read, it'll have to be a super chat going forward. You can keep talking to each other, but I probably won't grab any of the new ones. We'll go to some of the older ones, unless you have a super chat, and then, of course, I'll read it. Jerry Phillips, new. Jerry, make sure you subscribe to all those things I just said. Make sure you give us a thumbs up too. Why does your picture of Penn State have the dude riding the other Penn State player's face with his junk in his face, Moen?
To get people to click on it. You obviously clicked on it. You wanted to know what was happening. With
Okay,
the,
now wait a
Penn State
second. Hold
player.
on.
We're talking
We
about
are
is this
not
the thumbnail?
clickbakers. We are
Wait,
not.
hold on a
clickbaiters
second.
here.
What are we talking about? The thumbnail?
I don't know
I
what
think it's
happened.
just. I think it's Jerry's mind painting pictures.
I
The
think
guy
this
is
is
lifting the
full
guy
block
up onto.
reservation. If you
He's
guys don't
lifting
like
him.
him, it's his fault.
He's lifting him up to place him on the other player's shoulders.
Oh my!
Anything else you're deriving out of that, that's on you, Jerry.
Where is your mind right now, Jerry? I
yeah,
think
come
is what
on.
we're talking about.
Oh
What
my.
are you doing right this second, Jerry? Might be the better question.
You keep
Thanks for
drawing all the
being
dirty
here.
pictures.
We appreciate it. Antoine Codes, another valuable member of the party here. Yours made the plays in OT. He deserves the credit. All the Texas podcasts I've listened to the past 2 days were not happy with his play other than the overtimes. Okay. All right. So let's jump back and we will jump into comments that have already been flagged. Let me get to this one so we don't miss it. Clay Johansson checking in. Go Blue. Michigan
Gotta get that go
thumped
blue and
Alabama. That's all you got to say. Becky Go Huskies. Maction gives us 7 days of football for 2 months. They play on Sundays too?
No, but you get NFL games on Sundays.
Oh, I see. They bridge between Monday to
right.
Thursday.
You get your Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday games or MAC games.
Okay. All right.
Or Tuesday and Wednesday, rather.
Illini Ted, I think part of the move for NIU is not playing every day of the week. It helps TV, but is awful for in-person fans.
I don't disagree with that, Illini Ted. I think you're right. It isn't fair to the fans to have to get up and play a Wednesday at 8 p.m. game, but the discussion was on exposure. Getting that time slot to yourself on an ESPN network, I think it's a better exposure than whatever the Mountain West ends up with.
Then
I
why
would
are they
actually say
interested
the.
in it?
Go
Yeah,
ahead.
Like, I mean,
Yeah.
I'm curious. Like, if it's not exposure, if it's not financially driven, then what's in it for NIU that's making them want to pull the trigger?
I think this might be a move by Northern Illinois to get more money out of the MAC.
Really?
Hmm.
They've
why
gone
would you-
a long way
why would
down
you
the
announce-
road?
Why would you basically announce, because Brett McMurphy didn't break this story without them breaking it to him.
Of course.
Why would you announce on a Friday you're having a vote on a Tuesday, if not to make the MAC do something?
But does the MAC even have money to negotiate against?
I don't know. This could also be a negotiation to get more funding from the state of Illinois.
Okay.
The inner workings of these university systems are kind of nuts. So
I was going to say, I actually don't. I think this is more about the Mountain West going east, trying to bring in another time zone and new
100%.
viewers. That's what I think this is about.
sure, but this is supposedly their last edition too.
Well,
So NIU will not have
last
any
until
travel
next
partners.
year when
Yeah,
they lose another
yeah,
two
of course.
schools, and UNLV gives them half their money back and makes the run to the Pac-12. Yeah, I don't know. Very interesting though. We'll love talking about it. Michael Smith again. Only Indiana, Ohio State, and Tennessee plus Notre Dame cut out were the non-champ game outliers. Which one should have been replaced by BYU? SMU. Yes, SMU. They beat SMU head-to-head. They were both the same record, except for SMU played one extra game and lost. It should have been BYU should have been in instead of SMU. Didn't win the conference that they played in.
I'm going to get hit with this because of bias, but I would say take Notre Dame out. And the reason
With
being,
one loss,
Notre Dame doesn't play a conference schedule. They get to schedule whoever they want.
but they're Notre
They
Dame.
Conference
schedule
schedule doesn't
Army-
even matter. Look at Notre Dame thumping SEC
Yeah,
teams
I-
and everything.
I
I mean,
completely
conference
under-
schedule's overrated, Moan. Like I get it. Like the Big Ten loves playing Big Ten teams. They love watching Big Ten teams. There is a real bias there. I'm telling you as an outsider and stuff that sometimes it sucks to have to kind of siphon through and stuff. And Notre Dame is just an example of that. Like, it doesn't matter if you're playing on Big Ten teams. They're a dang good football team.
Listen, I just think that they need to be eligible for some kind of conference championship. If they can work that deal out with the ACC, and the ACC lets them stay independent and compete for the conference championship, I think you have a different story.
I actually think that could happen to keep
Right.
the ACC around. I think that
But
might have been one of the negotiating things.
I think it's unfair to other teams that compete for a conference championship.
I think that's true too. Although unfair is relative.
It's sure. And again, you can say I'm biased because I don't like Notre Dame.
Well, we don't like Notre Dame either necessarily, right? We're not defending Notre Dame.
Okay, you can say I'm biased because I want Notre Dame in a conference, in particular the Big Ten Conference.
I gotcha. Yeah, and I think most of America agrees with you. Nobody loves that Notre Dame is treated like as an entire conference. They won that game. They pocketed $14 million. $14 million.
Yeah.
If Georgia would have won that game, Georgia has to share that with 15 other teams in the SEC.
It's
So
true,
it's
but
less than $1 million.
Yes, but Notre Dame actually makes less money from their contract than.
But do they really? We don't know for sure.
We've got a good idea. We've got a good idea. They're in the $60 million range.
Plus,
there's
now
some
14.
escalators, but there's also options for NBC to bring it down if NBC chooses to do so.
I think this year we might find out when is it 2 years? There's a delay on financials. Whenever the financials come out for 2024, we might see that Notre Dame was 100 million plus.
There is no way NBC played them $100 million.
No. I'm talking about everything together. Their home playoff win, which gave them money, 14 million off one game, and they get another 14 if they win again.
Yeah.
So,
well, we'll see. We'll see. I mean, that's saying 28 million to get to 100 million. It would have to be, upwards.
I think they're closer to 75 than 60.
I think they're closer to probably 55 or 60, but we'll see.
Yeah, I can't wait for those financials. I'm really looking forward to them. Not really. Is it E&I? Is that right? Or is that an L?
That might be Lonnie.
Lonnie?
Lonnie,
We'll go with Lonnie. 1520. Good to have you here, Lonnie. Make sure you subscribe. Follow us on Twitter. Facts, BYU defense is for real. It wouldn't be easy as Ole Miss fans think. Well, I will go to my grave believing that. Yeah.
I definitely think it would have been a better game than it was with Duke. But again, the BYU offense gives me questions.
And they should. They should give you questions. Yeah. There were three interceptions in the bowl game.
Yeah.
We're winning despite our quarterback right now.
BYU is a fantastic defense, and defense wins championships.
Yeah.
They almost won that Kansas game, but that crazy special teams play.
Yeah, the punt. Quarterback punt.
You guys are just haunting me now. Stop. Tony Lawson, good to see you, Tony. You and Ryan in the house. It's great to see. Brando isn't afraid to speak his mind.
Nope.
Agreed?
Nope.
Yep, you're totally right. Already did that one. Illini Ted, Wilbon's Northwestern grad, which means he barely even knows how a playoff system works.
It's true, but I wish I had a degree from Northwestern.
I tell you what, it's top 5 in the country or something like that.
Northwestern's a fantastic school.
Yeah. Winding down here, let's see. Troy V again. If they expanded to 32 teams, people would still be complaining about the 33rd and 34th teams not getting in. Facts.
Yeah, you're never going to have a perfect system.
The basketball 64, 68, 72. Yes, everything you're saying is correct. What we're trying to say is the more you include, the better the variety, I guess. And I think you're seeing through all these games this year, the distances are more narrow now than they ever have been because of NIL. And that's why the SEC is complaining so much. It's because they used to have, they just did stuff that nobody else was doing. Well, maybe a couple Big Ten teams. And Texas and Oklahoma and Nebraska. USC. But there weren't many teams that were doing that outside of the Blue Bloods. So, but you're exactly right. There is no perfect system. We personally think that 16 is a good number. At least you and I do.
I like 12.
You would. Bias. Nathan Campbell. Nate, about Allstate or State Farm taking over the Big 12?
And what
He's
happened?
talking about the
What is
naming
that?
rights.
Oh, yeah, man. Allstate Big 12. I don't really care. State Farm Big 12 doesn't matter to me.
Show me the money. Show me the
Yeah,
money.
just give us money. I don't care.
All State 12 sounds great.
Yeah, yeah.
Just please don't be State Farm. I'm sick of State Farm commercials. I'm sick
Okay.
of Patrick Mahomes and I don't know who the other
come
one is in
on,
there.
Are we reaching? We don't talk a lot of NFL here, but are we reaching sort of saturation point with Kansas City at this point?
Never.
I think we kind of are. Andy Reid, obviously, I love Andy Reid. I've been a fan of Kansas State, KC. I think we're getting to the point like we did with the Patriots, where okay, it's over, ready, right? Let's move on.
I think if we want to talk about referee corruption, that's where we should start.
The NFL?
In Kansas City.
Oh, in Kansas City itself.
Yes, there's
Okay.
more bias placed on calls for Kansas City. I'm just saying.
All right, and you're
You
speaking
can't
from
quantify
experience.
that.
From
I
a
am
veteran's
speaking
group.
from experience this
That's what I'm
season.
thinking. Yeah.
Pass
Okay.
interference call in the fourth quarter that was not pass interference.
I got you. I understand. Cost you money. You can't be happy about
Well,
that.
Cost us a win. Not happy
Um,
about that. We'd be competing for a playoff spot. We're still competing for a playoff spot this weekend, but we got to have
you guys have
people-
been in the playoffs for the last
Yeah.
5 weeks, so
Yeah,
it's
we
not
gotta
different.
have some people lose to back ourselves in. But hey, listen, fake it in. Joe Burrow's the best quarterback in the NFL right now.
Oh my gosh, if Bengals get in the playoffs, as a Chief fan, I'm terrified of that.
I hope the
tell me.
Bengals get in so that Sam Bradford or who's the quarterback at the Vikings? Not
Sam
Bradford.
Darnold.
Darnold.
Sam Darnold cannot be the MVP of the NFL. Please, somebody beat the Vikings. I'm a Detroit Lions fan this week. I cannot. Sam Darnold, really? They're talking about. He's going to be the next Supermax contract, and Sam Darnold, really?
What's that? Yeah, what's going to happen with old JJ McCarthy, the Michigan boy?
They're
He's in
talking about
trouble.
trading him.
Oh,
Yeah. He's got injury prone things now, so he's kind of. Anyway, Devil Frog, original VOG Mafia member. 16 is better than 12. A month of time off is too long without playing football.
without quality football. Yeah, we starve for it.
Agreed. Exmosito. Right? Do I have that?
Yep, you got it.
Okay. Lol, hearing you make the SEC milking Texas sound was epic. 25 minutes behind, but here. It's good to see him, Osito X.
Sucking you, and
Oh.
sucking you.
Thank you.
You're sick of it. I get it.
I love it. That drop
Everyone
was-
dislikes their own voice and stuff. I'm no different, so that is how it is.
Clint Moses, all season, I didn't see anything special about Oregon. Labeled a butthurt beef van. Gabriel stepped down from next. Didn't see any defensive caliber player like Thibodeau or running back like Travis Dye. I just think you can't.
No, Uyongale, the defensive end, DJU's brother. I think he did really well this season. I think he's one of the better defensive ends in the Big Ten.
Yeah, but Dylan Gabriel, let's be honest, if he wasn't on Oregon 13-0 team, he doesn't make it.
He
doesn't make it to New York.
Well, it's a system, and he ran that system as well as he could. So
Yeah.
they just ran into a
disagree with you
buzzsaw
guys
called Ohio
with that.
State.
Go ahead.
Dylan Gabriel. Yeah, I mean, Dylan Gabriel played great all season long. He played phenomenal in the Big Ten championship game. They were a victim of 3 weeks off football. Like, if you play in the playoffs the week after the Big Ten championship game, they're going to buzzsaw anybody. Really, like they just got rusty, and Ohio State got hot.
But I think I would just lean back on what Moen said. It's a system there, though. It's a system quarterback position. Bo Nix is the same thing, right? You're running a system.
Bo
and
Nix
your
is
team's
ripping it
successful.
up at the Broncos right now. Though.
He is this year.
Yeah.
Next
He's a
year,
rookie.
defenses will catch up to him. It'll be different.
I
Anyway,
hope the Broncos lose this weekend, by the way.
jeez. Let's see here. Sergeant Pickles, SEC is a strong conference. They just learned they aren't special anymore and still can't handle it. Facts. Giddy Otham. Again, that's a fantastic name. The narrative I'm seeing lately is the Big 12 got respect after ASU's performance in the CFP. Did the Big 12 really get respect? ASU and BYU were the best teams, and they're both newcomers. Well, BYU's not a newcomer like ASU is. ASU's, I mean,
I would disagree with you. I know you got in a year before they did, but
I'm talking about as a brand, as an organization, that's what I'm talking about. ASU, since Jake Plummer, right? So
I get you, but I think he's saying something different.
What do you think he's saying?
He's saying that ASU and BYU are relative newcomers to the Big 12.
I get that. I understand that part. I guess I'm taking that for granted. And I'm saying, well, all of them are, right? It's half newcomers in the Big 12. But the organization itself, I will go to my grave saying this as well. I think the Big 12 earned more street cred losing to Texas the way they did than if we would have gotten two teams in, like the ACC, and they become an afterthought because both teams didn't show up, largely didn't show up.
100%. Yeah, like we had, as Big 12 fans, we had to have a big-time playoff. We had one opportunity, and ASU represented the Big 12 very well. And if it were not for a targeting call, they'd move on. But that perception matters going into next year. We talked about it all season long and stuff. The college football playoff performance in front of the big lights was massive. ASU represented really, really well. So it actually notched up the perception and respect for the Big 12. The ACC's been notched down more two notches going into next year.
Agreed. All right, we got to jet out of here. I can't believe we've gone so fast. Last comment here from FCS Guy. He's been a member for 10 months. FCS Guy, thank you so much. Thank you so much for being a member for 10 months. Quick sound.
Tell them to bring me my money.
NIU is taking NDSU spot. Go Bison. NC National Championship Monday, number 10. I would love North Dakota State to be in the Mountain West or even the Pac-12. I would absolutely love that.
Yeah, if it was me, instead of adding Northern Illinois, I would add North Dakota and South Dakota.
There you go.
You know, that's me.
Any last comments, guys, as we get out of here?
North Dakota State rules.
I
think everybody loves the Bison. The fan base is fantastic. Quality folks.
Absolutely. Moen?
Go Minnesota Golden Gophers tonight. And please hit the over.
And on Sunday night, are you doing a show?
We will see. We're getting a snowstorm here on Sunday, and it could be sizable. So if my internet is working, we will do a show on Sunday.
All right, everybody, stay tuned. Watch for the show, Moen After Dark on Sunday nights. Is it 8 Eastern?
7 Eastern.
7 Eastern. Look for that show. Otherwise, we will catch you next week. Tuesday night, we will be here. We'll be previewing the next, I guess, third round games in the college football playoff. And we appreciate everything all you guys do for us, your memberships, everything. Thank you so much. We're very grateful. And Happy New Year. Everybody stay out of trouble until we see you next. Bye-bye. Peace out.